Omar, this is Rebecca with your assignment to critique. Great job on making some super creepy images here. Let's talk about this first image. Great use of text. I like that it's kind of subtle. It blends in with the wall, a little bit, and it's a fun, creepy font. So good job importing something like that. Good job finding this absolutely terrifying character, and I like him kind of peeking around in there. So great job with your composition. This was a good job on that one. This image is a great start for this zombie apocalypse theme. It reminds me of Walking Dead when they're on the farm, and it's just so great. So the dirt looks really good, the piles of dirt. The tombstones look a little two-dimensional, so I think that adding some shadows to all of the figures that you've added are going to really place them into the scene a lot better. And for this case, notice the shadow coming from this tree. So it's not really, super perfect, like as far as the same shape of the tree and everything. It's very subtle, and it's almost like it's a really overcast day, or so there's not really dark shadows. Like even the shadow from this guy over here, this little shed here, or outhouse or whatever that is. So the shadows from this guy over here could just be really soft black, like a soft black patch. It doesn't have to be his full shape extended across the graves or anything like that. Same with this one. There needs to be some shadowing under the arm and under the body over here. And there needs to be a little bit of shadow coming off of these tombstones. Make sure that you pay attention to where the natural shadows are coming off of the original objects in the image. So it looks to me like the sun is over here, and the shadows are coming off over to the left and in the front of the object. So pay attention to that when putting in any tombstone shadows and things. There's no depth. Back to what I was saying about what the two-dimensional tombstones. This guy has some depth over here. See, you can see that he's three-dimensional, but this one I think is okay because it's kind of front on, like head on. But this one is turned at an angle, and without having that edge around the side like this one has, it looks really flat. And then this zombie, I think that the scale is good. That's really good on him, and he looks like he could actually be in the picture as far as the resolution of him versus the original image. This zombie over here, the scale needs to be a little bit smaller, because this zombie looks like he's in the he's set a little further back. So I recommend scaling him down, or her, down a little bit. Make sure that the head of this zombie is at least the size of this one, if not a tad smaller, depending on what looks right to you when you go back in and work on that. Other than that, like, great composition. I like the placement of these graves. I think this hand might need to be a little bit smaller too, because of the size of the amount of dirt, like the size of the coffin there. So just, play with it, see what you think there. This image is really well done too. I like the placement of all the zombies, and their scales are all really good as far as where they're placed in the image. Like this guy being smaller back here really adds some depth to it, and looks like he's further back because he's smaller. There's only a couple things, or three things, that could be improved in this image. Number one, this guy in the foreground is a lot higher resolution than the other zombies in the background all around him. And this zombie right here, she's much lower resolution than everybody. She's really pixelated and blurry. And so I would recommend finding a different one to replace her, but put the new zombie in the same spot. Just that has some more detail, some higher resolution, like these other guys. And then this one, because he's so high res, I recommend pulling his contrast down just a tad to be about the same as this guy, and this guy. Right now, notice how his blacks are darker than the other zombies. Overall, if you want, you can bring their contrast up a little bit more, whichever way you want to go with that. The other thing I recommend doing is adding a noise filter to this, so that it'll look less sharp, and it'll make him just blend in a little bit more. You might even want to blur him just a tad, like not where it hurts your eyes to look at, but just a tiny, tiny bit, and that'll bring down the look of his resolution too. So the third recommendation here is adding some shadows for these guys. So I'm trying to look throughout the rest of the image to see what the shadows look like from the objects that are already in there. And it's hard to see. It's hard to tell. Let's see. I think there's a bit of a shadow from this trash can here. There appears to be some shadows underneath these tables. But once again, they're really soft and subtle. So, I mean, you could just have little pools of shadow underneath the figures. There's obviously the sun's not coming from, you know, it's not really harsh and direct in this image either. So, you know, make some soft shadows around the bottoms of these people, and I think that will plant them into the image a little bit more instead of having them look more, you know, kind of pasted on. Now that you know how to use the Refine Edge selection tool, you might be able to go in and clean up some edges a little bit better. I don't think you'll be using her again, but you know, just notice she's got some haloing here and around her hair. So when you cut out your new zombie to replace that one, just make sure you use that Refine Edge selection option so that you get a nice clean edge there. Overall, this was a really great concept. And let me see if I can zoom out here on this. Yeah, okay. It appears to me that this layout isn't the layout that was asked for in the technical assignment requirements, the 11 by 17. And also it looks like, you know, this image is overlapping this image here. So please watch that video again that I posted on how to lay out your 3 images on your 11 by 17 canvas. And if you decide to resubmit a second version of this, just make sure that all those assignment requirements are met. So great job with incorporating the black and white, great job with adding text, and super job on your concept.